Is it on? There we are. Good morning. Oh, the on-off switch. The on-off switch dictates so many things in life. It's delightful. Well, there are two. Good morning. My name is Lindsay. We are going to be doing two songs to start off this morning. The first song is Happy Birthday because we have two beautiful people whose birthday is today or somewhere around the cycle of the sun referencing today. One is our beautiful River. And the other is Connie Castro. Connie, are you here? Where are you? Raise your hand, Connie. There she is. Good morning, Connie. Lovely to see your face. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear River and Connie. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Blessings to both of you. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Keep it going. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Great job.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hello, good morning, everybody. Everybody on Zoom, good morning. My name is River Hansen, and I get to be your platform assistant today. And my hair is very unruly today. So I wanted to introduce our guest speaker today, David Ault. For over 30 years, David has been a prophetic, is that the way you pronounce that, prophetic? Voice in the human potential movement as an unwavering crusader for mindfulness, global literacy, and social justice. Woo! Whether through teaching, evolutionary coaching, and keynote presentations, David's singular intention has always been in bridging our collective forgetfulness into our great collective reawakening. As an award-winning author, leadership coach, and global education advocate, he loves leading through example and abides by the motto that people would rather see a lesson than hear one. Absolutely. So we're going to be hearing from David a little later. Our guest musician is back, Lindsay Facknitz. Welcome back, Lindsay. Okay, I think now we're going to go into announcements by reading our mission statement. We are an inclusive spiritual community where we recognize and express our oneness with our Creator and all creation. And now for our announcements. These beautiful flowers were brought in this morning by our Becky Friedel in honor of me, my birthday. And I'm going to share them with Connie. Okay, all right. So, bookstore closing sale. Plan on checking out our bookstore closing sale on August 13th and 20th. Everything in there will be on sale for 40% off. It will be open from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. both Sundays. Books, figurines, wall hangings, special treats, and meaningful items for everyone on your gift list, including yourselves. Shop early, shop often. And we're having a big band event here at Unity. We're going to be presenting the Crystal Swing Band on Saturday, August 12th from 7 to 9. To learn more about that, check out the weekly e-blast. You can also purchase tickets now on our website. Martin Luther King. This August marks the 60th anniversary of the speech, and we will come together to examine anew the powerful words and imagery of this once-in-a-lifetime spiritual leader, joining Dr. David Goldberg and Christina Allen, Patricia Yeager, our Vice President of the Board, and Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano from Mile High Church in Lakewood. We will also be joined by special musical guests who will be announced shortly. Well, not today, but soon. Join us on August 27th from 10 a.m. for a 90-minute service honoring Martin Luther King. Our Donna, did you want to come up and make a short announcement?
Thank you. Well, I have great news. With a deep sense of gratitude and love, cancer no longer lives in my body. Yes. Yeah, overjoyed, and released to God. I did. And I just want to thank you all for it. It wouldn't have happened without you, I don't think. I was surrounded with so much love and prayer and healing, and it was just humbling. And thank you, and I will continue to do the deep work, which we all have to do for this reset, because we have a lot to do to get this vibrational frequency elevated for this reset. And I'm whole and healthy and ready for the job, so thank you.
Okay, and our very final wonderful announcement is welcome to the Light on the Mesa.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Good morning. I am your chaplain today, along with Diane Forrest, and we will be available after the service for prayer. I'll be reading from the Daily Word. Today's message is, I view my life through eyes of wonder. I feel inspired watching a young child discovering new things, eyes wide with awe and wonder. Even the smallest experiences, feeling the tickle of a butterfly on the skin or blowing the seeds of a dandelion, are a marvel and a joy. I think of this when disappointing life experiences chip away at my sense of awe and appreciation. Today, I let go of disillusionment and open my heart and my eyes to once again live in wonder. As I view life anew, I renew my belief in the goodness of life and all people. I open myself to the unexpected treasures happening all around me each day. Wonder is a precious gift, one I use to appreciate the marvels unfolding before me. Acts chapter 3, verse 10 tells us they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened to him. And again, we will be available for prayer, Diane Forrest and myself, after the service. Whether you're in a place of celebration or challenge, please take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Also, written prayer requests can be placed in the prayer box in the lobby at any time. And if you'd like to continue this conversation on today's topic, look for a list of discussions on the table in the fellowship hall.
Build it slow and surely. Small beginnings, greater ends. Heartfelt work grows purely. If you want to live life free, take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Simple joys are holy. Day by day, stone by stone, build your secrets slowly. Day by day, you'll grow too. You'll know heaven's glory. If you to live life free. Take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Simple joys are holy. Day by day, stone by stone, build your secrets slowly. Day by day, you'll grow too, you'll know heaven's glory.
Good morning. If you will join me as we settle in for a moment, we're already settled in, but we're going to take it deeper. And one of the ways that we do that is perhaps even look at your body posture. What about opening your body, feet flat on the floor? Take a deep breath with me. Let's center ourselves as we are in this invitational posture. And what we invite right now is that which has always been, that which is truth everlasting, that isn't something that we earn, but something that resides within us. The constancy of this truth that beautifully awaits our recognition. And so today we pray, we celebrate, and we know that the part of us that is ready to recognize rises and rises and begins to create a sort of spiritual tipping point where we fall into beginner's mind, where we sit readily, invitationally to receive the beautiful, wonderful, personal gift that is perfectly designed for each of us. I believe that that is not only possible, but that that is happening now. And if you will agree with me on that, I invite you to take another deep breath. And we celebrate that together and say, and so it is. Amen. Good morning. You probably saw me lug up here a very unenvironmentally jug of water. So for us sea-level people, you get to laugh at the way in which our mouths get all crusty because we're like, how do you live like this? I will say I filled it 3 times so far, so I am recycling it to the best of my ability. Oh my gosh. So you have a theme, Dr. David, a good friend of mine, shared, and it's truth to circumstance. And I love that theme, and it brought to mind a particular person that I don't know if you're familiar with or not. How many of you are chess players, chess people? Oh, we've got a few. So you might know who this person is. His name is Laszlo Polgar. And Laszlo Polgar, sometime in the early 60s, had this idea that we're not born with genius, we cultivate it. That environment was everything. And he was so committed to this idea that he was crazy enough to put ads in search of a wife. And in these ads, he wanted someone, a companion, who was willing to create this environment where they cultivated geniuses. And I'm sure that was an interesting ad to read in the early 60s. But he did find a receptive woman. She was Ukrainian, and her name was Clara. And they started a letter correspondence. And finally, Clara gave in, and she said, all right, I'll marry you. And so Clara marries Laszlo. And they create this apartment in Hungary. And in the apartment, it was nothing but all things chess. There were pictures of master chess players. There were chess boards. There were books all about chess. In fact, Laszlo started to create a card catalog file where one wall of an entire part of their apartment was nothing but card catalogs about genius moves and how to be successful in the game. The whole apartment was like this. Now you got to remember, Clara agreed to this. So they have their first child, a girl, and her name is Susan, and off they went on this experiment to absorb Susan in all things chess. And by the time Susan was about 6, she was already beating everyone in the social town square at all of those outdoor chess games. She was beating Laszlo, her father, and she was becoming quite adept at this game. The second was another girl named Sophia. Sophia actually surpassed Susan in terms of aptitude. And Sophia actually became a grand master sometime in her teenage years. But the third daughter, her name was Judith, and Judith surpassed Susan. She surpassed Sophia, so much so that she became the youngest grandmaster worldwide in the game of chess and held that record for 27 years. And there's actually a TED Talk by Judith talking about, people were like, oh my God, that must have been so hard to live in that environment. And she goes, it's what we knew. And so we were encouraged to participate in that. And it speaks to, even though that circumstance is atypical, right? So as you're listening to that, you're going, wow, that's really weird. But what it points to is the power of environment. You see, we are products of our environment. We're like sponges. There's a saying that says you are the amalgamation of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If one of those is sitting right next to you, you might want to smile and pat their knee and go, I love being in your environment. But you get that, right? And so in a household, let's say, you absorb. We're sponges. It's a natural part of our species and the way in which we are raised and the way in which we grow. So it's automatic. We are products of the environment of the groups that we hang out in. We are products of the environment of that which we absorb ourselves in with regards to philosophy, religion, news, all the other things that set up our specific cultures, right? And so when you think about that and you reflect upon your own life and you see that it's the natural instinct that we are products of our environment, is the environment by which you exist and the product ourselves something that is pleasing to you? Or is there something that is still longing inside of you in order to shift, to change, and to grow? See, I believe that we are evolutionary beings. We're not stagnant beings. And one of the most dangerous things that we could say to ourselves or to anybody else is, oh, I know that already. But to be forever mindful and forever open at the top and willing and available, to be available to that which wants to take me into uncharted territory, is something that comes from an environment. Because if I was raised in an environment where everything is protected, caution, protection, then I will begin to take on that, and there's very little chance that I will move into an evolution that wants to take me into the mystery. I will be a prisoner of history. And so we start to see then that when we find ourselves in atmospheres like this is an environment. When you find yourself in an environment like this that keeps producing and telling and showing and hopefully living by the example that we are not stagnant beings, that there is this evolutionary infinite potentiality that exists within all of us, from the first breath to the last, then that doesn't go away. It resides in there. It's like the incessant whisper in our ear that's continually trying to get our attention. I remember before I even knew about Laszlo Polgar. I remember in all of the decades of being a platform minister, of the countless classes that I taught over the year, of the countless exercises in those classes, there was one that I loved to do, and it was called What's Working. And I would split all of you into dyads, and you would have to face each other. And the rule was, for 5 minutes, all you could talk about was what's working. That's all you could talk about. And you would be amazed at how difficult that was for people. Because our unconscious environment is always communicating about what isn't working. So this exercise was a disruption, a beautiful, conscientious disruption to get us to focus on, oh my God, this feels uncomfortable. And I would say to people, if you're really struggling, then say things like, I have a toothbrush. I have shoes. Get as basic as you need to be, as granular as you need to be, but don't quantify, qualify, or slip in any kind of yeah buts. Just stay focused. And if you need to pause and think about something, and that 5 minutes for most of those people in those classes over the years felt like an eternity. But it was great because we started to see just how much the unconscious part of our environment was influencing our day-to-day. And then another beautiful thing would happen if you stuck with it. All of a sudden, things that you discounted, things that you really didn't articulate, were actually working. And what we know lawfully, spiritual lawfully, is that the more that you focus on those things that are working, what happens? Not only do you get more of it, but you are able to see that which has always been working. Because again, if the environment tells us one thing, and that's the absorption of our consciousness, what is working could be right here, and we wouldn't be able to see it. And so I would do this in these classes, and one of the most beautiful birthed manifestations from those classes was a woman came up to me not too long ago, and she said, we were in a class about 12 years ago, and you made us do that exercise. And there were a circle of friends in this class, and we loved the idea so much that we committed to have lunch together at least once a month, most of the time twice a month. And the rule was, at lunch, all that we could talk about was what was working. Now, I want you to think about that when you're eating with your friends. Where does the conversation usually devolve to about all the things that aren't? So imagine cultivating an environment with people that are committed to a laser-focused intentionality, communication, everything around what is working. It sounds simple, and yet for most of us, we fail to do it. And it's just because there's just two little energies going on. One energy is the energy of remembering, and the other is the energy of forgetting. And most of the time, we forget more than we remember. There's also two other energies at play. One is allowing, and one is resistance. And we speak of wanting to be a personhood who allows, and yet at the same time, so much of our language and so much of our actions indoctrinated from an environment are doing this. So it's this, I want, and all of the yeah buts become this, and it becomes like a sort of crossed intention that creates this inertia. And then we wonder why we continue to struggle. And focusing on this and discussing this is not intended to be punitive. It's intended to kind of shake us a little bit and say, where might I be doing that? And what could I do in this now moment in my life that I could gravitate more to an energy of allowing? And so what spirituality, what metaphysics calls us to do is to deepen, and we call it faith, to deepen faith in that which we cannot see. And something happens when faith then becomes a part of our environment. Because those of you in here, many have stories to tell about even in the unseen, even in the unknown, you did it anyway. You showed up anyway, and you went forward anyway. There's this beautiful quote by Martin Luther King that talks about the staircase and the mist, and oftentimes you can't see the top of the staircase, and you are just to take the next step anyway. And every time I hear that and I read that, I visualize that staircase, and I visualize that mist, and what it requires of you and I to take a step into that which isn't mapped out or clear, but it's the call of the heart. We did it when we were young. You know, the same resilience, the same natural propulsion to explore that a baby has when it keeps pulling itself up, is the same inner propulsion that still exists in you today. The same inner propulsion in an acorn that knows that just by letting it happen, it turns into an oak. The same inner propulsion inside of a bud that knows the natural process is to bloom, and the bud doesn't go to a workshop to learn how to do that. It just does it naturally. Is the same inner propulsion, the same creative intelligence and design that still resides in you. All that we have applied to it is a level of thinking that resists it, that denies it, that questions it. And again, products of our environment. I grew up stereotypically poor in southeast Texas, and I was the last of a tribe of children, and my mother was widowed when I was 7, and every time, like clockwork, at the end of the month, she would pace, and she would wring her hands, and she would say, "We're going to wind up on the street. We're going to wind up on the street." And that was my environment. And it took years and years, thankfully, finding this type of teaching in order for me to see that and to push past or allow the inner propulsion within me to see the faulty, problematic part of that and continue to move forward anyway. The same inner propulsion exists within you. It just takes the awareness and then the recognition and then the participation. Humor me for a moment. Take your hand and put it over your eyes. What do you see? Both eyes. Don't cheat. What do you see? Darkness, right? Okay, keep it up there for a second. So I want you to imagine that what you are viewing right now is a problem or a multitude of problems. And it is so in your face that you can't see anything else, right? So that's the illness, that's the debt, that's the discord in the family dynamic. That's all of the things that worry you and keep you up at night and cause all types of problems and challenges, right? Because it's all that we can see. Now, keep your hand up. Is there anything beyond the hand? How do you know that? How do you know that there is something beyond what you're seeing right in this second? Experience. You have had an experience that has shown you that there is far more on the other side of that hand. You can take it down now. So this, then, is the old saying. What's the saying? I can't see the forest for the... This is the tree. So the tree, then, is a typical way in which we default through life. It's the problem. It's the story. It's the wounding. It is the thing that most of us get attention from. It's what we talk about at lunch with the people who are also tree people. So we have our tribe of tree people, right? And, we all want to belong. And sometimes where we gravitate to in order to belong is not the best place for us to be. Because if we find a tribe that accepts us, but that tribe is tree people, then so much of the consumption of the conversation is about what? What's not working. And we bond with that, and we age with that, and we can live a whole incarnated cycle in that particular thing, and we just come back and we do it all over again. Isn't that fun? So, a student of the Buddha said, "Oh my God, how long do we have to do this?" Just like that, too. Those were their exact words. "Oh, wise teacher, how long do we have to do this?" And Buddha said, "I want you to imagine a rock 6 miles wide, 6 miles high, and 6 miles long. And every 100 years, a bird flies over the rock with a silk scarf in its beak, and the silk scarf gently caresses the top of the rock. You and I will keep doing this until the rock is worn away." Doesn't that excite you? So what might move that on a little bit is to realize we only got so much time in this body right now. Why would we want to waste one more day staying, sitting, expressing our loyalty to an energy of what's not working? This isn't about burying your head in the sand. This is about equipping yourself to be to have agency in the tree consciousness, and to be able to live and be and influence others to be forest people. Forest people, to me, they're visionaries. Do you know what a visionary is? A visionary is someone who gets the vision, this big thing that will never be accomplished in their lifetime, and yet they will still spend their lives doing it. Suffragists, those women who had a vision for equality, the beginning of those organizations and marches and things, those women never got to vote in their lifetime. But you are a product of their vision. And you don't have to, your vision doesn't have to be something that grandiose. And your vision can simply be to bring peace wherever it is that you go. To smile. To understand that there is no small act of kindness. All acts of kindness carry the same value. All acts of conscientious disruption and looking at yourself and go, what am I doing? I've got infinite potentiality in front of me. And then there's this great book out, by the way, called Atomic Habits. It's a great book. There's a whole chapter in that book about environment. And he says something in there, the author's name's James Clear, and he says, find environments where the embodiment, the temperament, and the mindset already exist within the people that you are longing to be. It's like an athlete wanting to play with athletes who are better than them because it elevates their skill. And if you're sitting there going, those people don't exist, then you get to be right. You get to be right. And what you will find is those people who don't exist. But if you're like, wow, I'll lean into that. I'll be open to that. I'll be available to that. I tweaked the talk title a little bit today, and it's I'm Available. And years ago, this is way back in the 90s, I was on a plane. I was reading an airline magazine. Do you remember airline magazines? was reading an airline magazine, and there was this article by this writer, and his name was Doug Boyd. And he has since, when I investigated him, written all kinds of things about Native American wisdom. But he said this in this airline magazine. He said, the greatest mantra, the most powerful mantra that you can ever say is, are you ready? I'm available. And then he said, look out. Because if you say it and you mean it, your whole world will change. Your whole world will change. Meaning that some level of integrity that we're still not activating and using will call us. And here's the thing about integrity. First of all, integrate, etymology, integrity, integrate, wholeness. To be in integrity means that we are wholly living to the value or the truth or the vision of what it is that speaks to our heart. Wholeheartedly. Right? So when you lean into, claim integrity as a value, here's what's going to happen. The identity of you right now probably will have to die. Meaning the story, sometimes the circle of influence. Have you ever noticed as you have evolved spiritually, your circle of influence changes? It's just a natural magnetic action that takes place. Because what you are magnifying, what you are rippling out is not a match anymore. No one's wrong. It's just where you are. And so I read that quote, I'm available. And boy, did that stick with me. You ever get things that just stick? So I'm walking around going, I'm available. And, early in my career, I used to take groups of people on sacred site journeys. It was a great way from someone from my background to be able to see the world because, if you get enough people, your trip is free. Woo! And so I got to go all over the world. I got to go to Chichen Itza and Machu Picchu. And so there was a trip in 2004 to Thailand and Cambodia. I knew nothing about Angkor Wat, one of the ancient wonders of the world that exist in Cambodia. But why not? So I go, and we go to Thailand first, and it's wonderful, and everybody's loving it. And then we take this journey, this little puddle jumper, as they say, over to Cambodia. It was the first time those people, 15 of us, saw poverty right in their face. The delineation between the haves and the have-nots. And so their natural empathic nature wanted to do something. And they're like, we got to do something. And I'm so glad that I was naive enough to go, okay. And so I go to the guide and I tell them the situation. I said, we realize that it's a one-off. We realize that we're temporarily here. They really want to do something. What do you suggest? And he said, well, if you're going to do something, no, I said, take us to the worst situation. And he looked at me, and so he took us to the Tonle Sap Lake, which is the largest waterway in that part of Asia. And in the dry season, the water recedes so far that the displaced, the refugees, the landmine victims, before Princess Diana died, her big initiative was excavating the landmines in Cambodia from their civil war. And so there were tens of thousands of landmines buried throughout the whole country, and farmers were getting their limbs blown off, and children. I mean, it was just this epidemic of pain. All these types of people, the poorest of the poor, were congregated on this lake bed, and they would make this little kind of temporary village until the monsoons return. He said, if you want to see the worst, go there, feed the children. They're starving. I said, feed them what? And then that became a whole discussion about indigenous things for their digestive systems. And then we resolved that we would go to local markets, and everybody was still in. And then we ended up, as a group, buying out 3 markets worth of local food. And I went to pay for it. And guess how much it cost? $86 for 3 markets worth of food, which required extra vans to load. And I remember at the time, had been a struggling musician and had been on the road my entire life, I went, wow, even I could do something. And so the guide said, we can't just show up. I got to get a message to the matriarch of the village. So even a transient village has a matriarch. And I don't know how he did it, but by the time we arrived in those vans with all the food, there was more than 100 children who were sitting uniformly in the mud-caked riverbed waiting for us. And we started to distribute the food, and it was peaceful and amazing for 7 minutes. And then, off in the distance, almost like a herd of buffalo, another 100 or plus more children just started storming, food, and they just ran, and they start grabbing, and it comes this frenzy of trying to distribute all of this stuff. And then like that, it's over. And they all go. And the group is standing in the circle, and everybody's breathing really heavy. And this one woman looks down, and she sees muddy handprints all over her shirt. And she goes, oh my God. She goes, the canvas of humanity. I can't wash this. And then everybody else looked down, and we were all covered with muddy handprints. There was a woman, I did a retreat yesterday at the Franciscan Center, and there was a woman there whose mother was on that trip. And she said, my mother was wearing a white skirt. And she kept that white skirt for years. And the one woman who said the stuff about the clothes started to cry. Crying is like yawning. Like when one person starts, and then all of a sudden I thought, keep it together, David. Keep it together, David. Keep it together, David. You're the leader. And then something which I could spend the rest of the afternoon explaining to you, but something uncontrollable happened. Sometimes the words that are impotent when we try to put them to certain things, it was like a mystical experience. My heart exploded. And I excused myself, and all that was available was a pontoon boat. And I crawled on my hands and knees in that pontoon boat, and I started to wail. But it wasn't, hear me, it wasn't out of pity. There was this realization that I was them and they were me, and there was no differentiation. And what was happening was some profound work of heart. And guess what I remembered on my hands and knees in that pontoon boat? The most powerful mantra you can ever say is, I'm available. And I said, I'm available. That will be 20 years ago this January. And I founded a nonprofit, and it's called Kaleidoscope Child Foundation. And from that mantra, my entire life went into a completely different direction. And today we have 2 campuses that offer education in Cambodia, teaching English, math, life skills, technology, arts, music, dance. And we have close to 600 children in 2 campuses. We replicated that in India, where we have built schools in slums, and we have close to 200 there. And now we work also in Guatemala with existing schools rescuing girls from slave labor practices to scholarship them and to give them education. A lot of people involved in that. Louise Hay, who was my second mama. I traveled with Louise as a singer for many years. Louise was my first angel patron. And she believed in what I was trying to do when I didn't know what I was doing. And because of the people and the donors and getting out of the way and continuing to say, I'm available. That's your takeaway today. I'm available. You do not need to know the ways and the means. The ways and the means gets bogged down with the tree. Be a forest person. Understand and know that the ways and means already exist. The how already exists. Just open and allow. Say, I'm available. And look out. Because if you mean it, your whole world will change. If you'll close your eyes with me for a moment. And in your own form and fashion, if you choose to, I want you to play around just for a second with the words, I'm available. What does it feel like to say that? Does it feel scary? Does it feel like something bigger than you think you can manage? Does it feel sacrificial to you? Because what I will say is that there is that inner propulsion, and I can imagine that if the acorn could speak, it would be scared. I imagine that if the bud could speak, it would be frightened about the physiology that was changing within them. And so it is with us. Something that requires faith can often keep us inert, safe, cautious. And that's okay. But if there's anyone out there today who wants to lean into the I'm available, then practice right now together, just breathing in. Honoring that. And let's all say together, and so it is. Amen. Thank you so much.
Welcome to my morning, welcome to my day. I'm the one responsible, I made it just this way. To make myself some pictures, see what they might bring. I think I made it perfectly, I wouldn't change a thing. La la la, la 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 la. Sing with me if you like. La la la. La, 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 there we go. Welcome to my happiness. You know it makes me smile. Pleases me to have you here for just a little while we open up the spaces, try to break some chains. And if the truth is told, they will never come again. La la la, la 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 la. There you are. La la la. La, 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 la. Welcome to my evening, the closing of the day. I could try a million times, never find a better way to tell you that I love you and all the songs I play. I thank you for allowing me inside your lovely day. La la la, la 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 la. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la. I'm available.
So, Lindsay, you might have to stay because that might have been a happy accident. But as a musician, I always think they shouldn't have to sing during the offering because you should focus on them. But now it's time for the offering, and so you might have to sing a little ditty again. Yeah, All right, cool. If our ushers will please come forward, and as they do, there should be an affirmation that you are familiar with, and I'm going to invite you to recite that with me together. Are you ready? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you. So it is. We should duet. I'm available.
There we go.
I'm available. I'm available.
I'm available.
It's a hit. Here we go. I'm available. I'm available. Sing it to your friend. I'm available. Available.
Who's available to take me out for lunch? Anyone?
All right. Well, that was fun. I'm very envious of the way that you can sing in high altitude. It must be, it's developed, right? It's developed. Woo! All right, so let us very quickly offer our, making sure I'm doing, see, I've got a little script up here. Making sure that we bless this offering, if you would, just know with me that these gifts go out and find the perfect outlet, the perfect landing place to bring inspiration and love to all who need it. And so it is. Thank you for participating. We also get to say our children's blessings, and whether they are here physically or whether they are participating virtually. I want you to rub your hands together, and I want you to think about the energy created in that and how far that travels, and you're going to say this with me. And now we offer a blessing for the children of our community and the world. You are loved, special, and important. We see you and bless the divine beings that you are.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God.
So I get to ask you for the prayer of protection, do we stand or sit? What do we do? Sit, stand. We sit, stand. We sit? We sit? We stand? Let's vote. Let's take a vote. I think you should stand, actually. Remember disruption? Let's disrupt it a little bit. Okay. I'm available for disruption, are you? So how about this? As many times as you've said this in your life, can you say it with some fresh intent? Not by rote, but really dropping down and go, what do these words mean? You ready? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God protects us. Oh, wait. Let's start again. You ready? The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. You may be seated. That was fun. All right. Now we stand. Okay, so please stay in your rows and join hands as you choose. I say go in peace. Look at me. Go in power, go in peace, and let's sing the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. We are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Have a beautiful Sunday, everyone. Thank you so very much. Do we go